All right, we're here with Maddie Perry, the UMAC Player of the Week from last week, and we got her to call in from a very busy student-athlete schedule. So, Maddie, you had 2 goals to get you the honors last week in one game. Congratulations, and how's the season going so far?
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's going well. We obviously had a tough loss against Bethel, but they're a super good team. They're just like amazing. They're fit. They have skill. But our other games have been like really, really good and great to build from. And practices are going great. So I think that we've really kind of like set the tone for the year for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Even just like in practice, like we're definitely building skill and building chemistry. And I think that it'll be a great year.
Well, and you've already scored, quite a bit this season. For people who haven't followed Bethany Lutheran, talk a little bit about kind of the style you guys like to play, and then kind of where you fit in that to be kind of to be finishing so much those chances on goal.
Okay. Yeah. Last year we played kind of more of like a 4-4-2. With maybe like a stacked forward, so it's like a 4-4-1-1 almost. But this year we switched to a 4-2-3-1. And I'm the one up top. So that I guess it's where like all the opportunities come from, is just kind of being the one that's running like crazy up top, catching through balls and hopefully finishing it off.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you had even last year in that 4-4-2, you had a lot of production with I think 9 goals and 10 assists, which is crazy to contribute kind of both ways. So you must have had the ball at your foot quite a bit. But then last year's team, you had a decent finish. I think you finished like 10-9, so just over 500.
Mm-hmm.
But then a tough loss to Scholastica. Everyone in the UMAC has feelings about Scholastica, by the way. For those
Yeah.
who don't know my UMAC history. So but you had a tough loss to them. Talk about kind of this year and how the team looks coming back this year and building on a pretty solid campaign last year, but probably one that you want to kind of move forward from.
Yeah. I think that I think we're kind of trying to take like the clean slate move with a new coach and everything. We're just trying to figure out who we are and how we play and adapting to a new coaching style for sure. Kind of keeping in the background mind how games went last year, but definitely not going into anything feeling defeated already just based off last year, because we're a whole new team now and a bunch of other teams are new teams. So definitely just kind of staying true to who we are and also trying to figure that out as well in the process.
Well, and you're a junior. I mean, you're kind of like in the upperclassman set now of, one of the leaders of the team. Talk a little bit about just new players who came in, or kind of where your players come from. Because if people haven't followed the UMAC or like the D3 level, I think probably a lot of your players are from Minnesota, but I always found a lot of those programs have kind of funky pipelines to, random states or different communities, or like you're at a Lutheran institution. So sometimes that pulls, random congregations from wherever because their aunt used to go to Bethany, whatever, there's weird connections. Talk about kind of the mix of players you have of, is it all Minnesotans like you, or is it a mix of folks from around the state?
We definitely have a solid foundation of girls from Minnesota for sure. We have Livy, our center back, who is just from Jordan, Minnesota, so like literally an hour up the road. We have Gina, who is an outside mid who has crazy speed, and then kind of like our wild card this year, I think, is we pulled our goalie from last year and put her in center mid. And she's from Canada, so anything's possible. International student, coming out of goal onto the field and doing amazing things for us.
That is a wild card. I don't know. We're gonna like make headlines with that. That's crazy. So you've had a really good soccer career there, but obviously at the D3 level, your people are going to play because they love the game, but it's, there's no lucrative scholarships there. There's nothing. So you choose the institution also for what you'll get after soccer. Talk about just kind of how you chose Bethany of all the, even as a small school, there's plenty of small schools and there's plenty of small Lutheran schools in the state.
Yeah.
So like talk about how you chose Bethany.
So back my junior year of high school, I was out for the whole year with the torn ACL. And that's like a very crucial year for recruiting. And Ryan Bolte had reached out to me, and I had never even heard of the school. Obviously, even back then, that was 3 years ago, it was much, much smaller than it is now, and it's still considered very small. So that kind of like opened my eyes to this campus, and I realized that it was only like an hour and a half away from home. And so I definitely was looking into it, and when I set foot on campus, I hadn't even started the tour yet. I just knew. The faculty and staff, they're amazing. Everyone cares about you. Everyone knows your name. That's definitely something that you don't get at a ton of other schools. Another thing that kind of drew me here was just the small population. I think that's huge because we have just a full-on community here. You know, everybody knows everybody, and that might not be everyone's thing, but it's definitely working for me and working for all of us here.
Well, and I think I've seen other schools, even if they're in in a regional center in like a rural area, it sometimes seems like those programs also get a little bit more community attention too, kind of like more like you said, kind of care and support from the community. Do you find that there's like a mix of community members who come to the games, or is it kind of a standard mix of like parents, family, and then students, which I think is pretty standard for like a college environment?
We definitely get a lot of staff members, for sure. And Bethany is kind of one of those schools that like runs in the family, for sure. So a lot of alumni come and support. A lot of alumni are part of like scholarships and stuff, so they like to be involved with who they're helping out. So there's definitely a good mix of community, staff, and students at all of our events.
And if people haven't had a chance to watch you all play this year, or to check in to see how you're doing on the top of that 4-2-3-1, just describe how how do you guys like to play? Like when you have a series of the game that goes really well, how would you describe kind of the peak form of the team of when things are clicking? What does it kind of look like?
So yeah, I would definitely say building from the back is very important, especially when you have not clogged midfield, but the triangle in the middle there, and then the two wings. Definitely working through them, maybe getting in a couple switches and finding the wings to play that through ball in up top, and then that's when I would run onto it. And I think that is when we would be most successful for sure.
And I think the UMAC still works like this, where is it the top 4 teams make the conference tournament? Is that
it's top 5.
Top 5. So what's the it's a lot of pressure early on in the season, but what's the kind of hope for the team, and how's the UMAC looking this year in terms of is it really clustered where everyone's really tight, or are there some who are going to be at the top, but you're going to battle for maybe one of those lower seeds, or what's the kind of landscape you're looking for as you inch closer to conference season?
I think definitely for us, right now our goal is just to kind of like break through that 6th seed spot. For sure. I think that's where we've landed my past 2 years here, and it would just be absolutely incredible. Just kind of like break through and just get that 5th spot, even 4th spot, 3rd spot would be absolutely incredible. So yeah, I mean, I think just working to get past that spot and kind of just like make it to the playoffs would be insane.
to be able to take that actual trip to the conference tournament, because the top seed hosts the whole tournament, right?
Yes.
Or something. And so it's like to be able to actually take that last road trip of, instead of losing that last game and then being heartbroken, to be able to take that trip.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And something that I've never experienced before, so that would be cool. Right.
Well, and Maddie, thank you so much. You've had a great start to the year. Since you won Player of the Week, you also had another game with a brace. So you're up to 4 goals just 3 games into the season, which is awesome. Maybe even on pace to break, last year's point total. You had 9 goals and 10 assists, so you're on fire already. If folks haven't checked out Bethany Lutheran, check them out. Team on the rise. And thanks so much for making time for us, Maddie.
Yeah, thank you.